spot, bringing stats like a kingpin. MMA knowledge needs his nephews all lean in. Breaking down fights, codes that daddy supreme on. Just a tip show, he's cooking up a dream. Uncle Weezy, he the man. Dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand. MMA guru, more than just a fan. Wanna know the numbers? Weezy got them cataloged. From the fighters reach down to how many times they dog. Just a tip living, breaking it down slick. Hit you with the knowledge, won't miss a single trick. Uncle Weezy, he the man. Dropping fight facts, got it all on hand. He the stat attack grand. MMA guru, more than just a fan. Balls need predictions, he be making those calls. Getting in the details, opponents feeling small. From jazz to takedowns, got the whole fight ID. Uncle Weezy spitting truth, no lie, keep it G. Blow the horn, blow the horn. Stat Daddy Weezy not showing no scorn. Fight Night Kingdom, he wearing the crown. Break it down for the peeps, never looking like a clown.
Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It is your Uncle Weezy here to do just the tip with you guys. Going to give you a greasy four-leg parlay. Going to give you my dog pick of the week. Going to give you Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. And it is going to be for UFC Shanghai, which is going to be headlined by Minyang Zhang and Johnny Walker. Very interesting card. A lot of Chinese prospects on this card in Shanghai, China. Going to see a big part of Asian mixed martial arts going forward here. And China's a big part of it where they have the PIs. So we're going to get into it, talk about this card, talk about who we think is going to win, talk about what we think the best bets are on every fight. And yeah, I'm going to give you a quick full card breakdown, give you the dog pick, the ass shaving of the week, give you a greasy four-leg parlay, and then we're going to talk fights with the chat after we're done with all that. So it's been an 8-week stretch here that we've been on. Definitely not a good one for me gambling-wise, but I'm happy that we have a week off coming up after this week because it's very difficult putting together the content and all the stats packages and then keeping up with all the work that I need to do every week. I don't really take any days off, so this is going to be really nice to have a week off and relax a little bit. Didn't get to YouTube last week for you guys because I had Brady and Avery come in from out of town to go see UFC 319 at the United Center here in Chicago. Had an amazing time. Got to see some fans of the show. Got to say hello to you guys. See some phenomenal fights. 2 back-to-back spinning back elbow KOs. We got to see one of the most dominant performances. It wasn't a fun fight to watch, but Khamzat versus Dricus, I mean, like, for him to run through Dricus like that was really impressive. And as shitty of a performance as it was by Dricus, it was equally as dominant by Khamzat. So, yeah, we got a new middleweight champion. Laurent Murphy looked phenomenal out there against Pico, and Pico was looking really good up until he got caught with that just nuclear elbow that would have knocked out everybody in every division. That was just nasty. Protest got the job done. Tim Elliott got a guillotine choke on Kaya Sakura. It was a phenomenal card. So it was really good to see DFS by the numbers here in Chicago. It was really good to see the sponsor of Stat Diggers, the guy that's keeping that show alive, our guy Avery. So yeah, man, let's get right into it here. Last week I wound up down 1.41 units. The ass shaving of the week, which is something that my people know over on the Odd Shopper, because they support the work. I do work for them every week, no matter whether I'm tired or not. So yeah, ass shaving of the week was Karine Silva. She didn't shave ass, but she covered the, she won. And the dog of the week was Laurent Murphy. So both of those hit. But yeah, I had 2 dogs winning that I didn't get to bets on because the lines moved, and it was Drakkar Close and Laurent Murphy. And the 2 dogs that I did bet on were Dricus du Plessis and Jessica Andrade. Du Plessis, one of the worst bets that I've ever made. The Jessica Andrade bet, she just didn't really get going until the 3rd round. And she won the 3rd. It was a 29-28, though, where Lupi pretty clearly won the 1st and the 2nd rounds of that fight. So, yeah, I mean, if I would have just pulled the trigger on all the underdogs that I should have bet on, I would have won money. But down 1.41 units, looking to end this 8-week stretch with a winning week. And in order to do that, we got to put in the work. So let's do it, you guys. Let's get to these fights, and I'll do a quick full card breakdown for you guys. And something that's really weird here, we still have no props on the DR versus Uran fight. DR is plus 110, Uran's minus 130. And we've got an over-under, but for some reason, Bet Online just refused to put out props for this. And because of that, DraftKings put out no props, and Bet Rivers put out no props. So we still got nothing for this fight props-wise. But we do have a betting line, and it is Uran Satybaldiev around minus 140-ish, DR around plus 120. So I'm going with DR by decision here. We got a major shift in pricing on the DR side. Now, he came in as a pretty good prospect, got a pretty good head kick knockout on Dana White's Contender Series, but he had about as bad of a performance as you can have, and he did it as a massive favorite in his last fight. So the short-term recency bias on DR Nurgozhay is extremely bad, and we've seen a massive shift in pricing going from minus 300 or minus 400 in his last fight to plus 120, plus 130 in this one here. And I said to myself, I'm not going to do anything on this fight until I see them on the scales. But I was running around before, so I don't even know how DR looked on the scales here. So I'm going to have to go back and watch the watch the weigh-ins. I know what happened with the Ortega fight, but I figured why even get in on DR pre-flop? There's no reason for it. He showed up fat last time. He looked fat on the scales, and then he looked fat in the ring too as he got his ass shaved, got knocked down in the first, submitted in the second. So, there could be a bounce back because that wasn't the same guy we saw on tape prior to that. Now, DR is he's a little bit low volume. He doesn't throw a lot of volume, but he's precise, he's defensively sound, and he hits very hard. So he's precise when he throws, and that's going to help him at this division. But he's a little bit undersized for the division. That's why it was really weird to see him miss weight. Uran Satybaldiev is a bit of a wild man. He's just kind of like, he's not technically sound at all. He's very defensively easy to hit, and he misses a lot when he throws. He's just not a guy that is really precise, that is really tight and technical. The chin's up in the air, the hands are down, and he's winging bombs at you. So I think that DR, being the tighter boxer, the more technical kickboxer, the more precise kickboxer, that I think has a little bit more power. I think he's going to be able to win the distance striking exchanges of this fight. In addition, when people try to wrestle DR, because he's built like a fire hydrant, he usually just gets an underhook and puts whoever shoots on him right on their back, and he can win minutes on top. And when he does get put on his back, he's pretty aggressive with his Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He kind of strings submission attempts together. So what I'm thinking is that the last fight was a blip on the radar. Maybe DR was hurt. Maybe he was sick. Maybe there was something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. I'm willing to give him a little bit of leeway there and acknowledge the massive price shift that we're getting here, because what I look at when I see these guys in the cage is that I think DR is a little bit better than Uran everywhere. So maybe you guys can tell me in the chat if you saw DR weigh in and how he looked, and did he make weight? Was he one of the first people to the scale? Because if he was, I might be willing to take a shot on his money line at plus money, because I am picking him to win. But it was just something I didn't want to be pre-flop there at all on DR, in case he showed up fat again, missed weight again, and then you got money. Now you want to pull out. It's not a good thing if you get caught before. So DR by decision is the pick there, and I don't think I'm going to get to an Uran bet no matter how bad or good Nurgozhay looks on the scale here. The next fight, and that one, by the way, I forgot to throw the banner up there for you guys. We're seeing Nurgozhay around plus 115, but that line is there's some money coming in on set. Oh no, it's back down to plus 110 again. All right, so I think we just saw it move a little bit, but either way, Uran just a small favorite here. The next one, and this is Zhao Long, probably around plus 100 now, and Su Young Yu sitting around minus 120. But this is going to be a good fight too, and I think it's going to be very close. Zhao Long, in my opinion, is going to be the guy who's going to be throwing more strikes. He's probably going to be the one pressuring forward, and he's going to be the one kind of looking for the fight. Su Young-yu is a very defensively sound fighter. He's a good fighter to back because he takes very little damage, and when he initiates the grappling, he's very position over submission. The wrestling is solid, and if he gets you down, he's not going to really land strikes, and he's not necessarily going to put you in really bad spots, but he knows how to win those positions and work the clock and not take damage when he's in those grappling positions so that he can just not take damage on the feet and wind up winning rounds that way. So I think both of these guys have good minute-winning skill sets. They're just a little bit different in how they do it. Zhao Long is out there scoring points, forcing wars. He gets into that pocket. He'll put combinations together. Su Young-yu is going to be moving laterally. He's going to be trying to hit you with a jab. He's going to try to get you to chase him and then try to pull you into some of his shots. And when you get a little bit over aggressive, he's going to try to take you down. So they both, I think I really like the overs here, you guys. I think that as juiced as they are, I really do think that they hit. Su Young-yu is somebody that doesn't do a lot of damage, and he doesn't take a lot of damage. So I think that a lot of his fights are going to be seeing the scorecards at the UFC level. And Zhao Long is somebody that I think is going to want to fight here, but I think he's going to have a really hard time finding Su Young-yu. But the aggression, the damage, and the optics, I think, are all going to favor Zhao Long. So I'm picking him to win this fight. And he's plus money, so I think it's not a bad play on the money line here to take a shot on Zhao Long. But I really do worry that if Su Young-yu gets a takedown in a couple of different rounds and is able to consolidate top position, that he might be winning a decision here. So I see either one of these guys winning by decision. I think most of the finish upside is on the Zhao Long side. So for that and a couple other reasons, I'm leaning towards him to win this fight. The next fight, Yizha versus Weston Wilson. Yizha minus 1,200. Weston Wilson plus 700. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Juice to the tits at minus 1,000. I'm going with Yizha. I'm going with him to win by KO here. And I could see this fight going over for a couple of different reasons. Number one, if I was coaching Yizha, who's somebody who traditionally does try to wrestle and grapple a lot, I would be telling him not to willingly grapple with Weston Wilson. I'd be looking for him to land strikes here because Weston keeps his chin way up in the air. He's extremely easy to hit at distance striking range. He doesn't like being pressured, and his right hand is never anywhere near his chin. And when you watch this dude fight, like anybody that throws a left hook, it lands on Weston Wilson. No matter when you throw it, no matter how far away you are from him when you throw it, it's like a magnet going to a pot, another charged magnet. It's just, they just come together. That left hand just comes together with Weston's chin, and he's so hittable. So I feel like Weston, you give him the best chance to win here if you go to the ground with him, because even if you take him down, the guy's going to be looking for, arm bars, triangles, leg locks. He's going to be looking for a lot of shit off of his back. And if he does try to get to sweep when there are scrambles, he'll get to your neck and look for guillotines. And he's finished quite a few of those as well. And he'll do it with a power grip too. He'll get in there, ninja choke, power guillotines, high elbow guillotines. He can finish these submissions. So if I'm Yizha's coach, I'm pretty much thinking that there's almost no way that you're going to lose minutes on the feet against Weston Wilson. So my bets for this fight are, I have Yizha by KO at plus 280 for 1 unit, and I got a quarter unit on Weston Wilson to win by submission in round number 1 at plus 2,800. I think this fight finishes early, and I'm just kind of surprised that Yizha is minus 170 on the sub and plus 280 on the knockout prop, because even though he's gotten 3 submissions in the road to UFC, they're all arm bars off of his back. And I don't think that that's something that's going to work against non-Japanese and Chinese regional scene fighters, even somebody like Weston Wilson. So I think that if Yizha fights smart, he keeps this fight standing because he's the better offensive and defensive wrestler here, and he can knock this guy out. He's got 6 knockouts on his resume. He's got pretty good boxing, and Weston Wilson just doesn't really have any kind of a danger factor there. And plus, because he has this karate heavy style, he's kind of easy to if you would rather be all the way in against this guy than all the way out. And if you're all the way in, you can use your boxing against Weston, and he just doesn't have any boxing defense. He does much better when nobody pressures him and they give him range and with which to use that traditional martial arts point fighting style. I think Yizha should just pressure forward, throw that left hook over and over again until he knocks him out. So Yizha by KO round 2 is the pick here. And the bets are Yizha by KO and then a little hedge on Weston Wilson first round sub at plus 2,800. Next fight, Michel Pereira going up against Kyle Daukaus. We got Michel Pereira at minus 260, Kyle Daukaus at plus 220. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 160 for this fight. So this is another one I didn't really want to get too involved with it. Kyle Daukaus is on short notice here, about 2 weeks notice, as he's stepping in for somebody that got hurt here. And Michel Pereira looked career worst in his last fight. At least against Fluffy, it looked like he tried, but he probably got broken in half there. And then he came out against Abus Magomedov with, just a performance where he wasn't trying at all. I mean, it didn't look like he was trying, and it didn't look like he wanted to be there. And he looked kind of scared and tentative, and it just wasn't. It's the opposite of the guy that has all this confidence and all this bravado and will do these crazy dance routines and attempt these fucking jumping, spinning, cartwheel, crazy shit. He did none of that last time, and he just looked like he didn't want to be there. So it's kind of hard to get involved in either side here. I think this is a pretty easy stay away because I feel like there's a few ways that this could go. Pereira could find that early finish like he did against so many other middleweights after he made the move up. Kyle Daukaus could, kind of wind up forcing a grappling heavy pace and kind of creating like a clinch war here that kind of just coasts over. And then you could also see, a checked out Michel Pereira potentially get taken down, look to get up, wind up in a front choke and wind up tapping. I think that there's a number of different ways that this could go. I did play the under 1.5 rounds because I thought that there were a number of different ways that could happen. We could get violence in this fight. And if Pereira's at its best, I think that he could take a Kyle Daukaus on 2 weeks' notice and get him out of there in the first round. If Pereira's checked out, I think that Daukaus could take him down, and he's a very tricky submission grappler with a great front choke series. We could see him lock up a front choke, I think there's a few ways that this could go where we could find violence here, but I'm picking Pereira KO1, hoping that the last version that we saw of him, that there was a good reason why that happened, because the guy's only 31 years old. He's not old and washed yet, but he does have a lot of miles on the engine. He's got well over 40 professional fights. He's fought like 8 hours of his life in the cage. So he's got a lot of miles on the engine, and he might not want to fight anymore. He might be more, he might as well have came out last time out with a fucking shirt that said, "I'd rather be yachting," because that's what it looked like. He just had nothing. There was no passion in the dance routine that preceded the fight and in the cage when he was actually fighting Abus. That was that. It was more of a fight than it was a fight. So, I'm going with Pereira here, but the bet is the under. And I think that there's some value on Pereira round 1, because I think even if he is checked out, maybe what he does is he just goes out there throwing flying knees and trying to kill the guy for about 90 seconds. And then if it doesn't work, he pulls a Bob Sapp, goes to his back, turtles up, and lets the fight end. So we'll see how this one goes, but I'm picking Pereira by first round knockout. Next fight, we got Rongzhu at minus 252 going up against Austin Hubbard at plus 212. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at plus 180 for this fight. So I like Rongzhu's takedown defense. He's looking pretty good, man. Like Cody Steele got him down once, and he immediately swept him and got back to his feet. Cody Steele was looking for a leg lock at one point, and Rongzhu was very smart, pushed off, got his leg out of there, stood back up. I do think that Rongzhu's the slightly better striker here. I do think that Austin Hubbard's the slightly better wrestler and the slightly better grappler here. They're not sending Austin Hubbard to China for him to beat Rongzhu in front of the Chinese fans. I mean, like they're picking him out so that he can lose to this guy. But I don't know how that's going to work. I think Rongzhu's going to win. I think he's going to win by decision. And I think even if Austin Hubbard wins 2 rounds here, but doesn't get him out of there, that somehow Rongzhu is going to win a decision here. So I do really like Rongzhu's striking. It looks pretty good, man. And the kid is only 25 years old. This guy's got 30 professional fights at the age of 25. And I mean, I think that there's something to be said for that. You know, when you have that much experience at that age, you can expect improvements sometimes between fights. And Rongzhu's taking a little bit of time off to get on this China card. And they're sending him Austin Hubbard with the thoughts of, let's get this guy a win in front of the Chinese fans. And I think he will win. I think he will win by decision. But I want to caution the bettors out there that Austin Hubbard went 50-50 with Alexander Hernandez, who's on a 3-fight win streak right now. He went 50-50 in his last fight with Markel Medeiros. These are fighters that I think are at least as good, if not better, than Rongzhu. And while he was priced around a pick'em in both of those fights versus Medeiros, versus Alexander Hernandez, right? He's priced as a sizable plus 212 underdog here against, in my opinion, an inferior fighter. So I really do think that there's some value on the Hubbard side. Go watch him strike versus Alexander Hernandez and tell me that he can't keep the distance striking exchanges of this fight close. So I think Hubbard's live here, you guys. I really do. Hubbard's decision prop sitting at almost plus 400. Hubbard by the money line plus 212. Hubbard by sub. Rongzhu by sub. Fight to end by sub are big plus money numbers. And I do see there being a lot of grappling in this fight. We've seen Hubbard get subbed a couple different times at the UFC level. We saw Rongzhu get submitted by Austin Hubbard's training partner in Ignacio Bahamondes. And we also almost saw Austin Hubbard get his sub last time out against Markel Medeiros. So the bets that I like here is I think that this is dog or pass on the money line. And I think that either side by sub, Rongzhu, Austin Hubbard, I think both of those sub props at like plus 1,400 and plus 1,600 got a lot of meat on the bone. And I personally played fight ends by sub for a quarter unit at plus 850. All right. Next fight. You guys are really lucky that you get to watch me live this week because I am the worst Charles Johnson fight predictor that there is. I am 2 wins and 8 losses over Charles Johnson's last 10 UFC fights and predicting his fights. So take this prediction with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen. What I did was something that was really quite fucking brilliant, if you ask me, right? My idea, brilliant idea, executed perfectly, right? So if you're as ass as I am at picking Charles Johnson fights, you wind up tricking the universe in order to win yourself a bet. So what I've done is I've picked Lonnie Kavanagh to win this fight by decision, and I bet on Charles Energy Johnson at plus 175 to win this fight. So one thing that I want to point out here is that when we have the plus 3.5 points handicap, that is an indicator of how close the market thinks the fight is going to be. And with, Charles Johnson plus 3.5 points handicap was minus 250 earlier in the week. And now it's sitting at minus 200. So they're telling you they think he's got about a 67% chance to at least win one round of this fight. But at plus 170 on the money line, they're telling you that he's got less than a 40% chance to win the fight. So they're saying there's twice as much of a chance that he wins one round but loses as there is that he wins the fight. So the market is telling us with a plus 3.5 points handicap for Johnson at minus 200 that the market thinks that this is going to be an extremely close fight. And here's the other thing, right? Who looks minus 200 against Charles Johnson on the feet? Have we seen that yet? Have we seen a striker go out there and outstrike Charles Johnson to the tune of minus 200? And I mean, the answer to that question is no. And let's look at who Charles Johnson has fought. Ramazan Temirov, Sumudaerji, very good striker. Joshua Van is fighting for the title next on pure striking. Knocked him out. Jake Hadley, pretty good boxer. Azat Maksum, solid striking. Estevam is a crotch sniffer. Durden, more of a wrestler than a boxer, but he's an all-around fighter. Ode Osborne, very dangerous striker. Zhalga Zhumagula, very aggressive striker. And then Makhayev's a crotch sniffer. So, Charles Johnson's been 30-27 twice in the UFC, but they were both crotch sniffers in Mokaev and Durden. And then Estevam 29-28'd him, and he just crotch sniffed for 2 rounds to get that 29. So the thing about Charles Johnson is if you stay on the feet against him, it's very hard to decisively win minutes against Charles Johnson on the feet. So I think that with somebody in Kavanagh who's got okay wrestling, but, you know, I mean, it's not like Charles Johnson hasn't been out there against much better wrestlers. You know, Maxim, Durden, Flick, Mokaev, Estevam. You know, he's fought a much better wrestlers than Lonnie. So I'm not worried about Lonnie going out there, getting takedowns in every round and winning a ton of minutes on the mat here. I think he's going to have to win the minutes at distance striking range. And frankly, I don't think he really even set himself apart that far against guys like Ochoa and Dos Santos. Dos Santos went out there and easily won round 1 against Lonnie just by putting him on his back foot and making him work. So I think this line's entirely too wide. I think all the value is on the Charles Johnson side. I feel pretty strongly about that read, which could mean that Kavanagh runs through him, because that's how shitty I am at predicting Charles Johnson fights. But I'm taking the shot, you guys. I got 1 unit on Charles Johnson's money line at plus 175 here. And even though I'm picking Kavanagh by decision, I think that this fight's going to play out very, very close. And I think either one, I mean, I think when you go, if you lay minus 200 on Kavanagh and you lay plus 170, somebody else does on Johnson, you know, when that decision is being read, the Johnson ticket's going to be saying, all right, well, we made the right bet here. Let's see if it cashes. And the Kavanagh people are going to be like, I shouldn't have laid minus 200 on this guy. He didn't look that against Nurgozhay. So we'll find out, man. But I think Charles Johnson's very live to win this fight. I bet his money line. But Kavanagh by decision, I think, is his best path. And I think if you're on that Kavanagh side, you got to remember, Charles Johnson always has A-plus conditioning, and his durability has always been A-plus. This guy has never been finished as a professional. And you look at the killers that he's been out there against, this guy's never been finished. So I think that Kavanagh, most of his win condition here is the decision. So actually, Lonnie Kavanagh by decision at minus 115 is one of my favorite props of the week. But I've got a bet on the Charles Johnson side at plus 175. All right, next fight that we're going to talk about, Maheshate versus Gage Young. Maheshate minus 105, Gage Young minus 115. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at about plus 100 here. So, yeah, I like Maheshate. I like him here quite a bit. I just think the market's overrating Gage Young. I don't see how you make him a favorite against any UFC fighter. I don't care who they are, and especially making him a favorite in China against Maheshate. That doesn't make any sense to me. This guy Gage Young doesn't have any wins on his resume that are even like a guy that's 3 rungs below the UFC level. He comes from a promotion called FAC. Now, FAC was a promotion that was basically created by James Krause in order for him to have a local promotion where he could pad his fighters' records. There's a promotion in Brazil called Demo Faichi, and Demo Faichi is Galpão de Lutas promotion where they pad their fighters' records. They find a bunch of cab drivers who are willing to come in and get their ass whooped for a check, and they give them fake records, and they go out there and pad records and then skip the line to get to the UFC. And I don't like what I'm seeing from Gage Young, you guys. His in-cage performances are okay. I think he's a solid fighter, but this guy has fought every fight in FAC, so he's fighting complete nobodies. One of these guys actually beat him. He lost to somebody in FAC, which I assure you was not supposed to be the case. So FAC stands for fake ass cage fighting. I mean, think about that. That's how bad that promotion is. So what I didn't like from Gage that I saw was that after he fought Salkeld on Dana White's Contender Series, this guy's next fight was in FAC. So his promoters could have called LFA and got him real fights. They could have called CFFC. They could have called Fury FC. They could have got him on the roster, and they could have got him against real regional scene talent where he could have got good wins that would have been gotten him to the front of the line to get up to the UFC. And instead, he decided to pad his record further and wait for a call. And as a matter of fact, he had another fight at FAC scheduled just before they called him for the short notice Evan Elder opportunity. So I'm seeing a guy in Gage Young here who's avoiding real regional scene fights and trying to be in the UFC without having any UFC wins on his resume. So with Maheshate, you get the taller guy, the longer guy who's fighting at home, who has much better long-range weapons. He's got much better kicks, much straighter punches, in my opinion. And he's fought the much better brand of competition as a professional. Even like as bad as Maheshate's regional scene competition was in WLF wars, he's getting the same type of competition there as Gage Young's getting in fake ass cage fighting in FAC. So I think that this is a decent spot for Maheshate. I think the market is really overrating Gage Young's skill set, and I think that they're not really properly handicapping who this guy's best win is, because this would be his best win by a fucking mile. He got 30-27 by Evan Elder and was never in that fight. He got grapple fucked by Quillen Salkeld for 3 rounds, and he even lost to Bobby Lee in FAC. So yeah, man, I don't think this guy's UFC level yet. I just don't. And I don't like the fact that he's avoiding real fights on the regional scene. So I think it's going to be Maheshate. And I think that's why you fly somebody like Gage Young out to Shanghai. It's not because he's going to move the needle and people give a shit about him in Shanghai. It's so that you can get the Chinese fighter a win. And I think they found the right guy to do that. Next fight, Tyolak Nueraji at -470 going up against Kiefer Crosbie at +370. Fight doesn't go to decision, sitting at -600. So this Nueraji is a pretty good prospect. You know, he's got great height and reach for the division. He's a scrapper, dude. This guy's got a great chin on him. He's sloppy as fuck. He has no defense whatsoever. But he's in there against a bunch of really shitty low-level fighters. So Crosbie does have a pocket boxing advantage here. He does have a strength of schedule advantage here. But Crosby's a very one-dimensional fighter. He really is a boxer fighting MMA. There's no ground game there at all. I mean, he was doing pretty well against Kevin Jousset, and then he got into the clinch and he tried a judo throw on a judo black belt, and it went exactly how you think it would go. I mean, he got reversed, put in a rear naked choke, and finished immediately. So I think that Nueraji might actually, in one of Nueraji's fights against Wang Chi, I think it was, he got like 4 takedowns in the first round, got a couple takedowns in the second round, showed some really good ground and pound, some decent submission attempts. So I think that while Nueraji probably wins this fight by KO, because the guy just goes out there and absolutely swings dicks, and he's got some wild fucking weapons. This guy will throw jumping shit, spinning shit, cartwheel shit, and he will just swing dicks in the pocket with anybody. So Kiefer Crosby is probably going to be live to land some big shots on this dude. He's extremely defensively irresponsible. -500 is kind of crazy. I mean, it's more of a fade on Crosbie, who's just looked absolutely awful at this level, than it is like thinking that Nueraji, who doesn't have any real UFC level wins, is going to go out there and run through this dude. But they're not sending Kiefer Crosbie there to win. And I think that this guy probably should have been signed a couple years ago, Nueraji. So here he is. I think he's going to find a big shot at some point and knock this dude out. And I think the submission is also in play. So I think that he's going to find a finish here. 100% finish rate in Nueraji's wins. And Crosby's been finished in 4 of his 5 professional losses. So Nueraji inside the distance could be a potential parlay piece this week. And I'm picking Tyolak Nueraji to win this one by second round knockout. Next fight is going to be Sumudaerji versus Kevin Borjas. This is going to be a fun striking match here. But, you know, Mudaerji, I think he's got better long-range weapons. I think he's a lot more calm in the pocket. I think he deals with pressure fairly well. We've seen him deal with pressure in a lot of his fights. He's very calm. He's got very good distance management, good footwork, and he's got some power for the division as well. So Borjas is not somebody that's going to be able to provide much of a grappling threat here, which is where we've seen Su look his weakest. But, you know, I thought it was really interesting when Sumudaerji almost got finished by Charles Johnson at the end of the second round of their fight. Sumudaerji was actually pretty aggressive with his submissions off of his back, and it looked like he kind of saved himself from getting finished by actually offering a little bit of a grappling threat on the ground. So I think Sumudaerji is actually he's still a fairly young fighter, and I think he's still kind of adding to the skill set and getting a lot better. So Sumudaerji is going to win this fight. I think it's going to be a decision because Borjas is a very, very durable guy, very tough guy to get out of there. He's a scrapper. They call him El Gallo Negro. You know, it's the black cock. You know, he's the cock that's going to go in there and fight for your money. And El Gallo Negro, I think, will be able to keep this grimy enough that he doesn't get finished. But I think Sumudaerji is the cleaner striker, the more accurate striker, definitely the more defensively responsible striker. And I think he's going to be, you know, with the home crowd behind him, obviously, I think that we're going to see Sumudaerji win this one by decision. Next fight is going to be Sergey Pavlovich at -227 going up against Waldo Cortes-Acosta at +192. Fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at -200. So these lines have moved since I did Balls Deep breakdowns. I do a full card breakdown for my Odd Shopper members every Wednesday night. And then I do like a 2-hour prop betting show for my Odd Shopper members every Thursday afternoon. And this line has been getting steamed pretty good over the last couple of days since I picked Pavlovich here. It had nothing to do with me picking Pavlovich. Everybody else is on him too. I'm just saying that when I made my pick on this fight, I noticed that Pavlovich was a lot cheaper than he is right now. And yeah, Pavlovich KO1 is how I see this fight going. But Waldo Cortes-Acosta is a very durable dude. Now, I kind of feel like Sergey Pavlovich's power transcends durability at this level. If he hits you clean, you're probably going down. And then if he starts to come in on you when you're shelled up, he doesn't really need to knock you out cold to beat you. The ref is going to step in to try to save people. And like now that Jason Herzog basically almost got fired for fixing that Muhammad Yahya fight to go over, we've seen him go out there and immediately stop fights. And I think that that's something that's kind of finding its way to the other referees as well. Like if you see somebody that's kind of like your superior in the business, like get dragged through the mud for the dog shit ref performances that he's had, for the countless people that he's almost gotten killed, I tend to think that Pavlovich is going to knock this dude out. Not just beat him, but knock him the fuck out. Like Waldo Cortes-Acosta, I bet on him against Sergey Spivak, cashed on him as an underdog. But like, and the reason I bet him was because I said, I think he's going to stop Sergey's takedowns. And when he stops Sergey's takedowns, I said there's going to be no doubt who's winning the striking exchanges. Well, he did stop the takedowns, but there was still plenty of doubt about who won the striking exchanges. And I think we know, you guys, if Sergey Spivak fought Sergey Pavlovich, you know, Spivak could be sleeping very, very shortly after that fight started. And while Waldo Cortes-Acosta has no quit in him, he's got a coconut for a head, he's got a ton of heart. I don't think somebody like Sergey Pavlovich, who, I mean, the guy is just an absolute unit. And I think he's a more skilled mixed martial artist in every aspect. I think he's got better offensive and defensive wrestling, probably got better Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's got very good cardio, actually, for somebody his size and his power. I mean, he's knocking out guys that would knock out Waldo Cortes-Acosta. So, yeah, I think it's going to be Pavlovich. I think it's going to be Pavlovich KO1. But I also like the money line here as a parlay piece because Pavlovich is the better offensive and defensive wrestler as well. So if you ever get sick of Waldo jabbing him up, he could take this dude down and win rounds with his grappling, just like he did in the Rosenstrike fight. So, yeah, I'm going with Pavlovich, thinking he's going to be the first person to finish Waldo Cortes-Acosta as a professional. But if he doesn't, I still think he can win a decision here. So I do like the Pavlovich money line quite a bit. Next fight, we got Brian Ortega going up against Aljamain Sterling. Ortega +225, Sterling -265. Fight doesn't go, sitting at +155 for this fight. So we had, I talked about it on Stat Diggers. I talked about it on Balls Deep Breakdowns. I said Brian Ortega is no longer a featherweight. And so I said that there's no way that he's going to win this fight because he's going to lose the fight just trying to make 146. Well, when you fly a former champion in Aljamain Sterling all the way to fucking China, and then you tell him, oh, we're not going to give you your fucking show check now because your bum opponent who never intended on making 145 didn't make the weight. I think Aljo was like, I don't give a fuck if he fell down. I don't give a fuck if he's in the hospital. Tell him the catch weight's 180 if it has to be. I'm going to kick this guy's ass in the cage. And that's what happened. Ortega looked like he tried everything in his power to not get in the cage tomorrow. And it looks like they went there and said, "Oh, you look good, Brian. Let's prop you back up on that scale, have you make weight at 153, and the fight goes on tomorrow." So, I mean, as a gambler, I want nothing to do with this, you guys. I mean, I said it earlier in the week that Ortega was going to lose this fight. I said it that he was never a featherweight and that there was no chance that he was going to make weight and that the fight would be in jeopardy. And because of all that, I just see a guy in Sterling who's still looking to fight and make money as a professional here. And I see a guy in Ortega who I think is showing up for checks. And like, remember how this fight was supposed to be 3 rounds just a few days ago? And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, it's a 5-round fight. And I think Ortega was like, what the fuck, man? I don't want to fight this dude for 5 rounds. So, I mean, Ortega's checked out to me, you guys. He's completely checked out. And, and it's even if he wasn't mentally checked out, his body checked out from being a professional mixed martial artist a long time ago. This guy doesn't show up to fight more than once a year ever. And when he does, like, he still misses fights. So I think it's Sterling. It's Sterling decision now, but I think I'd rather play the inside the distance at this point. I don't think Brian Ortega is going to be able to last 25 minutes in an octagon with anybody with a pulse right now. Even though he's done it with a bunch of killers before, Brian Ortega, we know that the guy's got a heart as big as a truck, and we know that the guy's got a great chin, and he would never give up on himself, but his body gave up on him a long time ago. His body's not letting him make the weight cut anymore. I don't know why he took a fight at 145 pounds. I mean, like, the whole Diego Lopez thing went tits up at 145 as well. So it's not surprising, you guys. This is a bad spot for Brian Ortega. I would not want to be on his money line here. I think Sterling runs through him. But with all the chicanery here, this could be set up for a steakhouse bet or a fixed fight or something, man. I don't like this one. I'm staying away from it as a gambler. I think Aljo should run through him, though. Which brings us to the main event of the evening. I see we got 156 of you guys hanging out live. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave me a comment down below. And please consider joining the Odd Shopper $25 a month stats and probability package in the description of this video. The link is there. Excellent way to support my work. And it gives you access to all of my individual fighter stats, my matchup stats, my over-under betting models, my prop betting models. Everything is available right here. You can see it for every fight. The individual fighter stats, which includes the record, all the DraftKings, FanDuel, Prize Picks, and Underdog stats, the fight stats for where you match them up side by side, Daukaus and Pereira here, so you can see who lands more significant strikes per minute. All those stats are compared to the benchmarks for the division. You get the over-under betting model, where you get to see the betting lines converted to implied probabilities, compared to the benchmarks for the division, compared to the combined performances of each fighter for the division, and color-coded to determine, value or not. And you also see that for the prop bets as well. $25 a month. Great way to support my work and a great way to give yourself an edge on the books by having access to all of these betting models, to all of my fight write-ups, all of my tracked bets, great analysis of trends of each fighter, the strength of schedule, the distance striking, the control time striking, the grappling, strengths and weaknesses of each fighter, a summary, a pick, best bet. You get that for every fight, every week. It's a great way to give yourself access to more information as a bettor. It's a great way to support my work. And it's a great way to make a little bit more money doing what you love doing already, which is watching these fights on Saturday. So the main event, though, that we're going to talk about now is going to be Johnny Walker versus Minyang Zhang. And we got Minyang Zhang at -310, Johnny Walker at +260. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Juice to the tits at -1400. So let's do a real quick analysis here of this card, right? So we got 2 Central Asian fighters going at it here with Kazakhstan versus Kyrgyzstan. Here we've got China versus Korea. Now we got a Chinese fighter against a non-Chinese fighter that's not from the area, and they pick one of the worst fighters in the division in Weston Wilson. So they're setting up Yizha for a win. Pereira's fought in Asia before, so I think that's why they brought him out there. He used to live in Japan. They're bringing Rongzhu, Austin Hubbard, who's just a guy that doesn't really move the needle. He's not a guy that has a big fan base. He's not a guy that like gets the fan base going and saying, fucking hey, it's Austin Hubbard fight week, and they're sending him out there to fight Rongzhu, so I think that they're setting the Chinese guy up for a win. This is a very competitive fight. I think they're setting the Chinese guy up for a win here against Gage Young. I think they're setting the Chinese guy up for a win here against Kiefer Crosbie. I think they're setting the Chinese guy for a win here against Kevin Borjas. And then I think they're setting the Chinese guy up for a win because, Minyang Zhang's a guy that I don't really know what he's proven so far. I mean, honestly, I think his best win was his UFC debut against Brenson Ibero. I think that's the toughest fight that he's had so far. And even in that fight, like he's getting hit clean right in the mouth over and over and over again. The guy's head is as big as an Easter Island statue. And when you watch the old tape of this guy when he was younger, like his head wasn't that big. This guy has taken so many steroids. And because of that, he's a scary knockout artist. This guy, when he hits people, he's punching mud holes through dudes' faces. And that elbow that he finished, was it Ozzy Diaz with, was nasty. Strikes that he finished Ibero with, nasty. Easily runs through Anthony Smith, who retired right after the fight. But, this is his toughest opponent to date because Walker is somebody that actually provides a danger factor. If Walker lands clean on you, it could be nighty-night. Keep your butthole tight. So this is going to be a fun fight. And I think that this is an interesting one stylistically because you have a favorite that's minus 310 and he's minus 250 to win by KO. So it's a 5-round fight. Nobody's really even expecting it to go to the second round, much less the third or the fourth. So it's going to be about who can win the moments, right? And we've seen Johnny Walker be knocked out 6 different times as a professional. Shit, you can see him get knocked out by a fucking welterweight in the gym on Twitter. Like this guy's chin is just not there. And that's why they're sending him to China so that Minyang Zhang in his first ever UFC main event can get another knockout win and they can build this guy up. They're doing their best to build up these Chinese fighters. We've seen them do it before and make the mistake of thinking that they were better than they really were and giving them tough opponents, and then all the Chinese fighters lose, right? We've seen them do that a few different times. This time, they went out of their way to match up every Chinese fighter that they really want to see get a win at home with a guy that they feel like are going to be able to achieve that against. And if you were to tell me, hey, Weezy, you're let's say I'm a UFC employee and, Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby come to me and they go, Weezy, we know that you watch 205 a lot. We need Minyang Zhang a win. Who are you picking? And the first thing I'd say was like, well, let's find somebody chinny, right? Because this guy hits hard. And let's hope that we also got to find that if this person's chinny, I'm also kind of hoping that they can't wrestle much. Because if they can wrestle, Minyang Zhang's ground game is a bit of an unknown. So we've seen him get submitted a couple of times on the regional scene. And, Johnny Walker's not really known for being an offensive grappler. So, yeah, man, I think that this is a very winnable fight for Minyang Zhang. I think the guy can land a half-hearted shot and maybe get Johnny Walker out of there. But am I laying minus 310 on this dude? No, I think he's got a lot to prove still. I think he's got a very limited skill set. And I feel like, if he gets the right matchup, that he's going to wind up looking plus 500 very soon. But I don't know if this is the guy. Can Walker go out there and kind of like close the distance, clinch up, slow this thing down a little bit, wear on this dude, make it a minute winning contest more than a moment winning contest? Can he go out there and make this a grappling match and kind of like drain the dude's gas tank early? Like, I think there are things that Johnny Walker, if you were a smart fighter who is actually going out there to look to protect his chin against this dude, I think he could win this fight. But it's still going to be a tough road to hoe, to try to, out-grapple somebody at this level when that's never been the way that you've went out there to win minutes or moments at this level. So I got to pick the Mountain Tiger, Minyang Zhang, to do what he always does, which is win by KO in round one. Because Johnny Walker's durability is just something I just cannot count on him to be durable. And I can't count on him to do things that I've never seen him do at this level. And that's become an offensive grappler, crotch sniffer, minute winner, a guy who wears on his opponents. That Johnny Walker finishes in round one as well. So, I mean, I think if you want to be contrarian, playing over 1.5 here, playing over 1.5. If you want to be a contrarian, if you think the market's piled on one side too far, then maybe you can, see this fight going 7.5 minutes. I mean, it would be a butt puckerer, but I'm going with Zhang KO1. So there we go, you guys. We got all of our picks for the week. So we're going to give you a dog pick of the week. We're going to give you Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. And then I'm going to give these guys a greasy 4-leg parlay with a little bit of meat on the bone this week so that we can get a big cash based on all these reads that we worked really hard coming up with this week. So the Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs are barking pick of the week. I've got a couple dogs here, you guys. I said that Nurgozhay would win. He's a dog. I said Xiao Long would win. He's a dog. Even Maheshate is a little bit of an underdog to Gage Young. So I think that he's a good dog. But what I'm doing this week is I'm making it the Charles Johnson money line. Now I'm picking Lonnie Kavanagh to win the fight, and I think he edges it out, right? Because he is half Chinese. They're putting him on this card on purpose to because he's of Chinese descent. It's another Chinese fighter that you can put on the card that the locals will get behind. But Charles Johnson at plus 175 is a phenomenal line, you guys. Nobody looks this way against him, like minus 200 against Charles Johnson, unless they shoot 30 takedowns and turn it into a complete crotch sniffing match. And that's never been Kavanagh's game. Charles is taller than him. He's longer than him. He's got phenomenal conditioning, phenomenal durability. He's got a massive strength of schedule advantage here. Dude doesn't get tired. He always makes weight, and he always comes in with really good conditioning. So I don't think that there's going to be a lot of openings for Kavanagh to go out there and find big minutes or find long stretches of success. So the Charles Johnson money line at plus 175 is my only money line of the bet, my only money line bet of the week thus far. And because I'm picking Lonnie Kavanagh to win, it virtually assures that the Charles Johnson money line is going to cash. So I am tricking the universe, and I'm betting on the guy because I'm picking against Charles Johnson with Kavanagh. And if you guys don't understand it all, you'll figure it out, because this is me getting back at the universe for never being able to be right on Charles Johnson fights. So your Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs are barking pick of the week. Skullet Gang, stand up. It's going to be the Charles Johnson money line at plus 170. Extremely underpriced money line that I think people are really sleeping on the Charles Johnson side this week. And there's a lot of value on that. So last order of business for the main card breakdown is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. Who's going to win and win violently? And I'm picking a lot of decisions here. Now, obviously, if Minyang Zhang were to win, of course he's going to win violently, right? I mean, even Aljamain Sterling, I think, is going to shave Brian Ortega's ass. This guy is just not ready to fight at this point in his career. His body has completely failed him. Pavlovich, KO. I think that's a great option. Nueraji's minus 500. I think he's going to shave Kiefer Crosbie's ass, but there's no meat on the bone there. Maheshate decision, Kavanagh decision. Pereira KO1, but do I want to say I'm confident about a guy who was wearing a shirt saying I'd rather be yachting when he walked out for the Abus Magomedov fight? Could I do that to you guys? Do I want to do that to you guys? I'm trying to foster good relationships here. So I am not making Michelle Pereira my ass shaving of the week. Am I going to make it Yizha, who's minus 1,200 on the money line? Nah, I could do better than that. Xiao Long, I think, goes to decision. I think this one goes to decision. So you guys, if we're going to have somebody carry the banner for us this week, it's got to be a guy who literally shaves ass for a living. Before Sergey Pavlovich was a mixed martial artist, this guy was a battering ram for the Russian police department. Think about that. Like, they didn't actually have that metal tool where they have two guys grab onto it and they go like that and they bash the door down. Like, Sergey would just walk up there and punch the door, and it would just fall in. He was the battering ram. This guy is landing knockdowns against some of the best heavyweights in the division with over 3% of the significant strikes that he lands. Waldo Cortes-Acosta almost lost a 3-round striking match to Andrei Arlovsky, ladies and gentlemen, is a minus 800 favorite. Sergey Spivak at points of that fight was tagging him up and walking him down at distance striking range. There is a massive power differential between these two fighters, and this is a big step down in competition for Pavlovich and a big step up in competition for Waldo Cortes-Acosta. So your Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week is going to be Sergey Pavlovich to shave the ass of Waldo Cortes-Acosta. We did it, you guys. We got the full card breakdown. We got all of our picks. We've got our dog pick of the week. We got the ass shaving of the week. So let's go with the Greasy 4-leg parlay that we can bet. And then it's going to come in around better than plus 600 this week. So I think I got something I like. There are some fights I didn't really want to gamble on, so it kind of left me with some limited options for parlay pieces here. So I had to take a couple of spots that are pretty close to even, but I think that they're going to hit. So I think it's going to put some meat on the bone, and then we can finish this parlay up with two wider lines that are more likely to cash. So leg one is we're going to go with that Xiao Long money line at plus 100. Su Youngyu is a very defensively sound fighter that's going to be very difficult to land damage against, but I really like Xiao Long's takedown defense and get-up game, and I think that optically, the way that he fights, it's going to look a lot better to the judges. It's going to look like he's looking to find the fight. I think when we watch this fight, we're going to see Su Youngyu avoiding the fight, looking to time takedowns, looking to move laterally, looking to land a strike and then get out, throw a little bit, counter a lot, land with big shots, and time the occasional takedown. While Xiao Long is going to be marching forward like Michael Myers with a machete, looking to get into the pocket and looking to hurt this dude. So because I have some faith in Xiao Long's conditioning, output, takedown defense, and get-up game, I think he's going to be able to out-grit this dude to a decision win. So I like Xiao Long's money line at plus 100 here as the first leg of the parlay. And because we've already got a plus 100 there, going to make it a little bit easier to make a little bit of money if all these four legs hit. Leg number two, Rongzhu by decision. This is very close to a pick'em. And Austin Hubbard is a guy that is not particularly dangerous in any area of MMA, but he's also extremely durable. And Hubbard, I think, is going to be looking to grapple here. And if he does that, I think that this fight's going to go to decision. But Rongzhu hits harder on the feet. I think he's going to win the minutes and moments at distance striking range. He's shown excellent takedown defense and a get-up game over his recent road to UFC fights. So even though I think I could see either one of these guys finding a submission in this fight, I think the most likely path in front of the Chinese crowd, especially against a guy like Austin Hubbard, who's never really set himself apart. He's lost a lot of very close decisions because he can't, he just doesn't move the needle enough. He doesn't land big enough strikes or get to dominant enough positions to decisively win rounds. And therefore some of them, they kind of slip away from him. So Rongzhu to win by decision is sitting around minus 110 here. And that brings this two-leg parlay up to plus 281. So we've already got some meat on the bone here. The leg number three that we're going to go with is going to be the young kid, Nueraji Nueraji, at minus 275 to win inside the distance. So we're going to go down here. Nueraji, winning method to win by finish. There we go. Minus 275. So if you look at my betting model here for this fight, there it is. You can see down here in this lower left corner that all 11 of Nueraji Nueraji's pro wins come inside the distance, and 4 of 5 Kiefer Crosbie losses come inside the distance. And then if you watch how Nueraji fights, I mean, like, this guy fights like he's got a plane to catch. He is out there throwing 100% power into all of his strikes. He doesn't give a fuck about defense, and he doesn't seem to get tired either. Like, this guy should be getting really tired with how aggressive he fights, with how much power he throws into all of his strikes, with how acrobatic he is. Like, he's throwing flying shit, spinning shit, jumping shit, so he's somebody that really you would think would get tired a lot quicker, but he never seems to get tired either. And the guy's got a really reliable chin. So he's just like a Tasmanian devil out there. You can hit him. He's just gonna keep hitting you back. And eventually you realize, wow, this young kid, he's never gonna fuck off. And then you look for the door. So I think Nueraji is gonna show him the door at minus 275. I think they found him the perfect opponent in Kiefer Crosbie to get out of there and do it with style, because Kiefer Crosbie, let's face it, he stinks. So I think Nueraji inside the distance minus 275 should be easy money this week, which leaves us with the last leg of the week. And who else could it be but Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week, Sergey Pavlovich, minus 265 on the money line. It was minus 258 when I put this together before the show. So instead of plus 622 on DraftKings, it's actually coming out to plus 617. But yeah, this is a good one here, you guys. I think Pavlovich wins. I think Nueraji runs through Crosbie. Rongzhu by decision, I think, is his most likely path to victory. And we're taking the Chinaman in China in Rongzhu at plus 100 against the South Korean. So I think it's going to hit, you guys, plus 617. What do you guys think, huh? So I'll put this out. I want to have the advertising for my odds shopper on the scrolling here. That's the best way to support my work. I wasn't here last week because I had my guy Brady in town, my guy Avery in town. We went to go see UFC 319 live, and it was absolutely phenomenal. We had a great time. Went out, hung out with some friends on Friday night, went out and got steaks. Saturday before the fights, we went to Lou Malnati's, got a deep dish pizza, and then went out there and watched the fights until about midnight. Went back to my place, got DoorDash, drank a little bit more, smoked a little bit more. And then those guys went off to the airport at like 8 or 9 in the morning. So I was unable last week to come out here and do a free show for you guys. But I'm glad I didn't, actually, because got a bunch of signups on the odds shopper. And it just feels like when I don't show up, I'll get more people actually signing up for the odds shopper, which has always been the goal in the first place. So thank you to everybody that signed up. But I wanted to come here and do a free show for you guys today because I like to be able to do those for you guys. I just like to do them, at least a couple of days before or after I already give it to my odds shopper people. So if you want to support my work, the best way is to sign up on that link in the description of the video and support the work by the $25 a month odds shopper package that is going to help you get an edge on the books by having access to the most amount of information that you could have before making your decisions on what fights you want to bet on. We got exclusive Oro in the room saying, oh, yes, back with another blessing from our uncle. Good to see you in here, my man. I know he's on the odds shopper. We got Olajuwon Dream. He's on the odds shopper saying, oh, we got my guy Mushroom in the room saying, oh, yes, let's stack him higher than Willie Nelson. He made Snoop Dogg tap. Yeah, Willie Nelson's a fucking veteran when it comes to the chronic. That is for sure. We got Ben Ryder saying, thanks for everything. Appreciate you, my man. We got the Milkman in the room saying, just got promoted at work. And that means Uncle Weezy is going to have one more odds shop. Remember when that first check hits. Thank you for all the free content you give us to milk these books. Truly appreciate you, Milkman. It'll be great to have you on board the odds shopper community. We got MB in the room saying, my wife is Latina and she likes to hear you speak Spanish. Could you say, hola, Angelica? We enjoy your show. Angelica, hola. Disfruta la show, all right? Let's hope you enjoy it. It's good to see you hanging out here, MB. Thanks for being here. We got Majin MMA saying, oi. We got Gonzalo Jimenez in the room saying, Timo, ¿cómo te fue la cartera pasada? We had a great time, man. It went really well. We had great seats. We got free drinks. We were just totally hooking up the bartender, and he was hooking us up with free drinks. We had the seats were incredible. The fights were incredible. Had a great time with the people around me. It was an all around great experience and great to see. I want to say this too. Chicago has got to be hosting one UFC card every single year. Chicago showed up huge for this, and it's been way too fucking long since they've been here. They go to Salt Lake City every 2 years. They were just in Des Moines, Iowa. They were in Baku, Azerbaijan, and they got to wait 5 years to come back to fucking Chicago. I mean, you see how Chicago showed up. I was there for the very first fight of the night. That fucking place was 80% full already. The nosebleed seats were completely full for the first fight of the night. These guys were loud as fuck. They were going nuts. Everybody showed up. They sold out the United Center. Made a ton of money. Dude, those nosebleed seats were going for like $600 a ticket. And they sold this thing out. So I would think that after the way that Chicago showed out for the UFC, that the UFC would reward Chicago and say, look, we're going to come back there once a year. We don't give a shit if the politicians are a bunch of fucking assholes, which they are. And I don't blame Dana White if he doesn't want to do business with people like J.B. Pritzker and, Brandon Johnson and the clowns that run this city and state. But at the same time, the people who show up for the UFC, they're not with those people either. We can't help who gets elected here. These guys, it's going to be a shitheel no matter what. So UFC needs to start coming back to Chicago every fucking year. It should be a summer staple that in July, August, September, you're coming to this beautiful city when the sun is out, when the people are out, and when we're out showing out for the UFC. Gonzalo, good to see you hanging out in here. We got Brandon R saying, someone check on Low T City. The levels are dangerously low, says Brandon. We got Tiziano Cecilia saying, hey, Weezy, everything okay? Everything is good, my man. Appreciate you. Saying Brian Ortega faded because of the weight cut. Fight is at risk. Yeah, they moved up to 155. We got yesterday, I waited in line to buy UFC Rio seats, and I've achieved to buy the last pair. So I am going from Buenos Aires to Rio with your girlfriend, only to see for the first time a live UFC event. Well, I just had my first live UFC event, and it was phenomenal. And I'm sure you're going to really enjoy it, Tiziano. You're going to have a great time there, man. And hopefully they put an Argentinian there or two on the card. They got some great ones. There's some great Argentinian fighters right now. And even though the Brazilians will be booing the Argentinian fighters, you guys will be showing up for them. UFC only travels to Brazil and South America, so it was your only nearby option. Yeah, they don't really go to other cities. The problem is that our Argentinian Ponzinibbio is fighting Vicente Luque there after being knocked out by D-Rod a few months ago. Yeah. So they got him on the card there. Well, at least there's an Argentinian on the card. Fights back on at 155. We got Ring a Ding Ding says, Low T City Ortega. You all thought the Eagle wasn't fighting. I'm on low T, but I'm still whooping Aljo's ass at 153 pounds. This is just part of my story. Bet my KO prop, and you heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Low T City Ortega. He may have passed out on the scale. He may have went to the hospital, but he's not too sick to watch his Uncle Weezy predict fights. And good to see you hanging out in here, and we appreciate the donation to the show, man. Mr. Mister is staying sterling by points. That's my pick as well, dude, but I'm worried about Ortega making it the full 5. We got Anthony Hernandez in the room saying, let's make some money, Uncle Weezy. Let's get it. We got Dixon Sider in the room saying, Prophet Weeziah, did you also just watch Fabian Edwards punt Dalton Rosa's head into the bleachers in the third in the PFL? Wow. Exactly 3 years to the day of Leon versus Kamaru head kick. Insane. That is wild, dude. 3 years to the day, and he did that. I would rather sleep over at Diddy's house than watch PFL. I think it's got to be the shittiest promotion. These I remember one time I was watching PFL, and I shit you not, they were trying to put a Wiz Khalifa concert in the middle of a fucking MMA event. And I'm like, whose idea was this? Who is thinking that people that are watching MMA want to watch like and I mean, I never minded Wiz Khalifa. He's all right, but like live rap is trash unless there's like an actual DJ there playing live. And like, I mean, I used to go see Biz Markie back in the day. I remember seeing some actually really good TV or some good hip hop shows, but like they bring out like these fucking whack ass musical acts. It's a fucking 45 minutes between fights. And then what happens is Alexander Romanov gets kicked in the sack, and then the fight doesn't fucking happen. Or somebody throws a fight, a minus 1,500 favorite somehow pisses it away by split decision. Like, fuck PFL, man. It is the fucking worst. So no, I did not watch it. Didn't watch it. I'll have to have somebody else fill me in on it. Thank you, Dix Insider, for filling me in on it. We got DFS by the numbers in the room saying, oh, boy, did we go hard in the paint this last weekend. Thank Ja, there is a week off this week. Daz Files saying Ortega catch weight, bloody hell, 153. Let's go, Daz Files. T.O. Phillips saying this UFC card is already greasy, and it just got greasier, man. Aljo still smashed. Let's go. I agree. We got Olajuwon saying hammered the unders in Ortega Sterling. I like it, dude. Now, I wonder what that is, dude. The under 4.5, 165. Yeah, I was looking at the fight doesn't go at 155. My model. Oh, hey, shit, you guys, I never switched over that model, but because it's a 5-round fight now, but my model really liked for the over-under bets. The fight doesn't go at plus 155. My model loves that. The under 4.5 at 170. The fight doesn't start round 5 at plus 188. This is an 11-fight sample size of 5-round fights for these two guys, and we liked it at all 3 of these. The fight doesn't start 5. The under 4.5. The fight doesn't go are all really good according to my model here. Let me just get back full screen. We got J-Mo in the room saying Weezy. What is up, J-Mo? We got Stacks in the room. We got T.O. Phillips saying who is getting Shanghai this week. I don't know. Whatever American that's not supposed to win that wins in China might get Shanghai. It could happen, man. We got Stacks in the room saying Owl. What is up, Stacks? We got Dixon saying also Weezy. Real quick before we move on from PFL. My jaw is still on the floor because I still can't believe I witnessed Alexander Romanov actually not quit from a nut shot, and he also went 5 rounds. Wow, that is wild. If he fought through a nut shot, man, he must have been on all the gas. J-Mo in the room saying, oi. We got Neil saying, oh, Zhang Hu fight week. High-level Greco-Roman credentials will be on display. Is Zhang Hu fighting? Is he fighting somewhere this weekend? Please tell me that he's fighting. Let's see. Yaozong. Yes, Totoro. He's still 4-3. His last fight was against Dana Nueraji, and that was March of 2025. He won by Kimura in round number 3. And then and that was in what promotion? The JCK promotion, JCK Fight Night. Okay. Yeah, dude, Zhang Hu back in the fucking mix. Yeah, I hope that he's back in the UFC soon with that stellar 4-3 record that he has. We got Buster Cherry with the Brian Ortega weigh-in picture is the new Buster Cherry. That's how I look every morning when I get out of bed, only with longer hair. It's just absolutely tragic, man. Christian loves the intro music. Ben Ryder saying, thanks to everything you do, Uncle Weezy. Appreciate you, Ben. We got Stack saying, oi. We got Annoyed Squidward saying, oi, Uncle Weezy. Celebrating my 30th birthday this weekend. Do you think you can cook up a long shot parlay at some point during the show for your nephew? Long shot parlay. All right. Let's see what we can cook up here. Ooh. I think I got something for you, dude. I think I got something for you. And it's going to be for generational wealth because I don't want to fuck around and give you something that won't let you quit your job. So let's find something for some fucking generational wealth here. And I know what leg 1 is going to be. Leg 2 is going to be what? All right. So if we go to DraftKings, if we go to fight parlays, Weston Wilson to win by submission in round number 1 is plus 2,800. That is going to be leg number 1. It is his only win condition on the fight. That's plus 2,800. And then we're going to go with Aljamain Sterling to win by submission over Brian Ortega at plus 400, which is going to give us 144 to 1. Weston Wilson by round 1 submission. Aljamain Sterling by submission at plus 400. Your submission special gets you 144 to 1. A $25 bet would win $3,625. So there you go, my man. That's what we're looking for here. We're looking for Weston Wilson by submission in round number 1. Aljamain Sterling to win by submission overall plus 400, 144 to 1, $25 to win 3,625. Let's go. We've got Imagine saying Dixon Romanov, the heavyweight. Dang, didn't know he was that cut. He was cut, yes. Johnny Walker is getting shanghaied, says T.O. Phillips. We got Intermoon Trading saying, who do you think could be the parlay busters this week? Dude, I'm picking most of the favorites to win, to be honest with you. But in terms of parlay busters, like dude, I think Weston Wilson could bust the parlay with a first round submission over Yizha. I mean, he's very dangerous on the ground, and you know, I think that the fight probably will hit the ground at some point. That's why I think Yizha is going to knock him out, because I think the best path to victory for him would be to avoid the grappling and just try to knock him out. But I think Weston Wilson could bust some parlays. I think Michel Pereira, if he doesn't show up, you know, looking to fight, he could wind up losing this fight. I think Austin Hubbard could upset Rongzhu. I think that Charles Johnson could upset Lonnie Kavanagh. Tayalak Nueraji at minus 500 is wide. You know, I'm betting his inside the distance prop as part of the parlay here, but I mean, you know, he's not very good defensively, and if Kiefer Crosby's leveled up at all, he could be live. And then I'd be surprised if Pavlovich blew it to Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I'd be surprised if Johnny Walker came through versus Minyang Zhang. But yeah, I think that there's, you know, I don't think a lot of these big favorites are that trustworthy this week. Yeah, it was a bad scare. Thought the Ortega fight was going to be a scratch, and we still got it though. We got Kalong in the room saying Zhang, Aljo, Michelle safe parlay. I think it hits. You know, I think it hits as long as Michelle showed up and looked good on the scale. I think that probably hits. Hope you got Kamaev as your pick, man. Not DDP delusional like some pickers. Not even close. Yeah, I was delusional. I bet on Drickus, and it was probably one of the worst bets I've made in recent memory. But to be brutally honest with you, I made some really bad bets over these last 3-4 weeks. Guys that just were never in the fight, and that was definitely one of them. We got Yitro is in the room saying, learned a lot about betting from you, Weez. Ring a ding ding with the $2.79 donation. Appreciate you, my man. Yeah, I'm glad you did, dude. I mean, but I've been stinking out the joint these last few weeks. So hopefully we can get back on the winning track this week, and that helps with a little bit of fucking pocket money there from my guy Yitro. Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Dixon saying, Weezy, did Brady Avery and you get a chance to partake in some Juan Camilo Ronderos-like activity? Was it snowing in August in Chicago? It was not. It was not, dude. I don't think that those guys party that way. And frankly, at my age, very bad idea for me to be partying that way too. So we went hard. We went very, very hard, but we did not go Juan Camilo Ronderos hard. That is for sure. We got Big Boy saying Ortega fight canceled. I think it's still on at 155. We got Ken Knowles saying, can you mail me a bag of oranges to juice with myself? I parlayed Chase Hooper and Karina Silva on multiple tickets. Shame, piped myself. I parlayed Karina Silva. It worked, but I stayed away from the Chase Hooper one. But I was not expecting that. I really wasn't. Clean knockout, round 1, and then Jason Herzog stops a fight with 4:59 into the round too. So kind of wild, man. Like Chase might have been able, like for instance, if Herzog doesn't if he doesn't stop that fight, Chase probably goes back to his corner, and his coaches probably tell him, okay, what'd you think? He hits pretty hard, right? Maybe now we stop fucking around and we start grappling, you know, and then maybe he might have won rounds 2 and 3. So who knows, man? It's a wild fucking sport that we bet on, but there was 1 second left in the round when that fight stopped, I think. So that was wild. But congratulations on a phenomenal run here for Alexander Hernandez at 3 in a row now. So it's a good run for him. Don't be making shit up. Ortega 155 catch weight. Salty Ball's a dog, but Duyar better hope he brings it. Yeah, let's see if he shows up this time. Big Boy saying, oh, it'll be a catch weight. My bad. Yes. I heard Satybaldiev walkout song is Chocolate Salty Balls by Chef. That's a fucking jam, dude. I mean, I love Isaac Hayes, and that is a classic song. Just put my balls in your mouth. Yeah, man. It's such suck on my chocolate salty balls. Put them in your mouth. Yeah, I mean, it's a great one. I hope he comes out to that because it would be a perfect walkout song for him. We got Barry McCockiner in the house saying I'm on Howie Mandel too. Weezy. Yeah, I mean, are you talking about DR? Is that what we're going with for Howie Mandel? Where is it? Yeah. They both. It could be. Dixon saying Weezy betting this card kind of feels like showering with clothes on. Now, I mean, it's a weird one. It's definitely a weird one, man. Fromage saying DDP got crucified so much that he died for his coach's sins. Uncle Weezy is the Hamzat Kamayev of MMA cappers. Oh, what is up, Fromage Frog? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Brandon saying Nurgozhay looked good on the scale. All right, good. That's good to know. Maybe I will get on his money line for a unit against Urine. I do think he wins this fight. Hopefully he comes back and looks better than he did last time. Neil, yeah, that we got Caveman saying New Ortega wasn't making weight. He fell down on accident and was rushed to the hospital. The fight is still on for now at 153 catch weight. He passed out at some point during the cut. I'm not surprised. Yizha 2-3, let's go. I don't mind that, man. Chase the Gooner Hooper needs some help. He did need it, but I think he realizes, hey, he made a mistake. He's still young in his career. And now he realized, hey, dude, you're a fucking grappler. You're a grappler. You're not a striker. Don't go out there and strike with strikers. Weston Wilson, round 1 sub plus 3,500. That's a great one. I got plus 2,800. I bet it for a quarter unit. Bean Egg saying Ortega didn't fall down an accident. He was way overweight and never making 145. So he resorted to dramatics. Could be. Pereira went from headlining a card to be buried on the Shanghai undercard versus Kyle Daukaus, and that is correct. You don't get to fight the way that he fought last time out. Dude, he should have been cut from the promotion just for the dance routine that preceded the fight. Like, that should have been enough where Dana White should have gotten out of his seat and not even let Michel Pereira in the cage. He just said, look, it's Abus round 1. He just won. You're gone. That's what I would have done. And I'm not being dramatic here. That was the worst dance routine I've ever seen. We got Devin Davis is in the room saying, you're the man, Weezy. You seem like such a nice dude. I appreciate you, Devin. That means a lot, man. I try to be nice to everybody. Sometimes I get pissed off at people like Michel Pereira when they lose me money. And tomorrow will be no different if he pulls this shit again. But I appreciate you, Devin. Thanks for hanging out, man. We got the Fight Fool, Gabriel Killian, in the room saying, I was hanging with Aljo and Ortega after they both fought on the same card. Both of their groups almost got into a fight. I was in Aljo's group. Crazy night, a story that will probably never be told. That's an interesting one, man. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how it happens when people in the same weight class, wind up at the same bar, knowing that at some point you might be fighting each other. We got Rob Bixby in the room saying, Weezy, what is up, dude? We got T.O. Phillips saying, Weezy, did Charles Johnson ever formally apologize? For what, dude? The haircut? He doesn't owe anybody an apology for anything he's ever done in the cage, I don't think. Like, I'm just wrong about his fights all the goddamn time. But I don't know if he ever formally apologized, and I don't know what he would need to apologize for. We got the Fight Fool said, no matter what happens, you can count it as a win for the record. There you go, man. We got B-Negs 521 saying, you talk about Hubbard versus Medeiros. I'd like to see you go 3 rounds versus Glenn Medeiros. Who's Glenn Medeiros? Go 3 rounds versus Glenn. I don't know who Glenn Medeiros is. We got Dr. Piener Jr. in the room saying, big Uncle Weezy, how we doing tonight, man? Dr. Piener Jr., the Doogie Howser of ICU urology. Good to see Dr. Piener in here. Say what's up to your old man, Dr. Piener himself. Good to see you hanging out. I'm 4-1 with Johnson fights. Well, you got so many more wins, Gabriel, than I do. I got 2 wins. I'm 2-8. I could even show you. I want you guys to see this. So if we go to the fight card, and then we go here and we go to Charles Johnson. Where is he? There he is. And then you could go view my Charles Johnson predictions here, right? And you could see it up there on the screen. Wrong versus Tamarov. Right versus Sumudaerji. Wrong. Got the Flick fight right. Got the Zhumagulov fight wrong. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 wins. 8 losses. And I'm betting on Charles Johnson because I'm picking Lonnie Kavanagh. So one of them is going to be right. Either I'm going to get the pick right or I'm going to cash a bet. That's genius. That's what we call in the trading business hedging our bets, ladies and gentlemen. We got a few passes in there, says Fight Fool. We got Daz saying Loney, half Irish, half Chinese. He got this. Might even be the first to finish Charles. I'd be surprised if he finished Charles Johnson, dude. But if he did, man, whoo, talk about a feather in your cap if you finish Charles Johnson, man. MMA Addict is saying Energy Fight Week, Unc. Let's go. He's saying Energy KO loading. Dude, I don't mind that bet. Look, he knocked out Josh Van. He was this close to knocking out Sumudaerji, who's never been knocked out as a professional at the end of the second round. When they fought, I think Charles Johnson is starting to sit down on select shots. And when he sits down on them, he shows that he has power, you guys. So I could see Energy landing a KO here. It's a possibility, man. Rob Bixby saying, I think it goes the distance. Toss up who takes the win, though. But he likes the Johnson plus 3.5 points here. We got my guy Shady is in the room. What is up, Shady? Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Zach saying, oh, what is up, Zach? We got Kiers in the room saying, I like Maheshate's submission. Has he ever won a fight by submission? I wonder. Let's look. Maheshate. 1 career win by submission out of 10. So he has done it once before, and it was on the regional scene, not at the UFC level. And we've seen Gage Young be submitted in 1 of his 3 professional losses. So in that particular prop, sitting at plus 2,800. So that is a very, very wide line. If it hits, it hits. No offense, but that's not really how the regional scene works. I mean, there's frauds who pad their record, sure, but Gage Young actually has decent skills. He's not that guy. But who's he beaten? Like, Neil, who's he beaten that's UFC level? That's my point here. If you're going and having a close fight on Dana White's Contender Series, why are you going back and taking more fights in FAC, where nobody that has ever come from FAC has ever done anything in the UFC other than just show that they were a padded record fraud? Not one guy. Maybe did they pad Onama's record in FAC? I'm not sure, but nobody comes out of that promotion that is a serious mixed martial artist. I mean, he went back to it to fight Eric Grant, who's 6-5. He went back to it to fight somebody named Court Whale, who's 6. Look at. He signed on to fight this fucking guy. Gage Young was going to fight this guy, a Charlie Kirk haircut on this clown, and he was going to fight this guy. So 6-6 Court Whale, 5-6 Josh Tully, 2-8 Braxton Everett, the chin killer, Manny Muro, who, look at that guy. That guy is 67 years old. He's got 22 professional fights. He lost to Bobby Lee, who's 15-9. That's the only decent guy that he fought. He does have a win in kickboxing over Tater McSpadden, and we'll never be able to take that away from him. So that we do have from Gage Young. But yeah, man, I think that his regional scene record is completely fraudulent. That's what I'm saying. And when I'm saying when you get this close to the UFC, and you have a fairly good performance against a good prospect like Quillen Salkeld, in my opinion, It's a massive red flag if you're not looking to take fights against real mixed martial artists. If you're just taking fights against 5-5 guys in FAC, waiting for the phone to ring, I think it shows that you're afraid to get a loss on your record, because the last time you stepped up and fought somebody with a pulse, Bobby Lee fucking submitted you in the 3rd round. So my personal opinion, Bobby Lee from Mad TV. Yeah, that's the one. We got Ryan Suck saying, "Oh, upset we missed you at the event." So like Brady told me that you and Minnesota Nick wanted to meet us. We went by the bar and we saw Minnesota Nick, but we didn't see you, Ryan. We were there for a while. I think you were a few sections away from us. I'm pissed off, but we were definitely there. Me and Brady and Avery hanging out. But we missed you. I'm sorry we did. Gonna have to do it next time, man. Got funny hat by Sub Sprinkle. Okay, got those funny hats, man. Not bad. We got the Realizer saying amateur adding round 2 TKO to a par. Okay, I don't know what that means. Daz File saying Borjas sub is plus 2,200. Yeah, he doesn't go for them, but he has some in amateur, and Sue loves to be sub. Yeah, we were looking at that one on the list as well, because I feel like that is a big number for a guy who's been subbed so many times in Sumudaerji. But I mean, it might be just a value loser. We'll see. I could see Sumudaerji get finished. I mean, he's came damn close to getting finished by Charles Johnson. NFL Draft Paul saying, glad someone agrees with both Maheshate and Sumudaerji. Seeing way too many people take Young and Borjas. Yeah, I'm with you on that. We'll see how it goes, man. The black cock is tough. You really got to beat him off. No, that's very true. You got to beat this guy off of you over and over again vigorously, to get him off of you. So yeah, I'm with you, Wild Berry. Good to see you hanging out in here. El Gallo Negro says, my guy Shady, the movie Blood In, Blood Out. I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check it out, dude. We got Brandon saying Ortega looked dead at the weigh-in and face-off, could barely walk. No American commission would allow the fight to happen. Honestly, I feel like Aljo was like, look, man, you're not flying me to fucking Shanghai and not paying me. I don't care what we got to do. I don't care if I got to, like, he might have even said, like, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take you down. I'm going to take your back in every round, and then we're going to fight hands for 4 minutes and 45 seconds, and I won't let you take any damage. Just let me get my win check here, Brian Ortega. We got Augustin Ricarte in the room saying, my Peruvian brother ain't losing with any Chun Chun Wang. Dude, I mean, Borjas is tough, man. We're going to see, man. It's going to be a great fight. B-Neg saying Waldo could easily wrestle. What? Pavlovich is a better wrestler than Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I don't know where you think that Waldo's going to out-wrestle Sergey Pavlovich. I think that would be absolutely wild. Pavlovich has won fights with his wrestling on the regional scene, actually, before getting to the UFC. He went 5 rounds with Mikhail Mokhtanin. So I don't think that that's going to be the case. I mean, Waldo's a good athlete, but I don't think he's taking down Sergey Pavlovich and holding him down. Blood In, Blood Out was a phenomenal movie, says Forrest Daniels. What's up, Uncle Weezy? Let's go. Death, taxes, Sterling decision. Augustin saying that Sterling is getting ready to do a Hamzat. We got B-Neg saying a ton of money just came in on Sterling. Oh, my God, he's up to minus 325. It makes sense, dude. It makes sense that the line would get absolutely steamed. Dr. Peener Jr. in the room says, China? Yeah, China. China. I love China. We're going to China for this card. We got B-Neg saying you are dead right about Ortega. Yeah, I mean, like, we know that he wasn't going to make weight. He just wasn't going to make it, you guys. We got, Groove saying nobody mentions how Zhang lost to Askar Mozarov, the fake fighter. But the important thing to note about that is, like, I think he was very young when he lost to Mozarov. And even when Mozarov fought Menafield, he was landing some heavy shots on him. Like, Mozarov will try to take your head off. But Zhang, let's see here. When he lost to Askar Mozarov, it was 2018. Now, right now, Minyang Zhang is how old? He is 27 years old, and it's 2025. So he was 20 years old when he fought Askar Mozarov. So he's got some losses on his record. Mozharov back in 2018. John Vake back in 2016 when he was 18 years old. Koji Shikua, Sergey Pogodayev, and Luan Aguirre Elias, an 0-0 fighter, rear naked choked him. So, like, yeah, man, like, this guy lost 6 of his first 13 fights. But since then, he's went on 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 12 fight win streak for Minyang Zhang. Eddie is in the room. He said, we needed you last week, dude. I really wish that I had the energy to show up for free on Thursday night, but I was so tired from the week. I mean, it's been a long 8-week stretch. I just didn't have it in me to do the show last week. We got B-Neg saying, if Ortega fight got to the ground early and Ortega sub isn't out of the question, for sure. I'm not sure what, saying probably a Chinese person, I guess, I'm guessing. We got Caveman Yogi saying, Ortega is a lot bigger than Aljo. If Ortega made weight, I was going to go all in on Aljo, but I'm pumping the brakes now. Yeah, you know, now that he's got it moved up to lightweight, it might actually benefit him. Yeah, right. Ortega has already written his I need to move up in weight excuse into this fight. And ring a ding ding. We got MB in the room saying, love your breakdowns. Truly appreciate you, man. Thanks for the donation to the show. We got AFG Baller saying, where were you, man, last week? I was probably sleeping right about now. I was exhausted. I was just too tired to go live, man. We got MB making us all look good. Appreciate you, JMO. We got JMO saying, I think Weezy was at the fight. Yes, sir. I think I heard him talk going out. Yes, we were at the fights on for UFC 319. I'd rather see Nueraji versus Kiefer Sutherland. AFG Baller saying, Weezy is the best, man. We needed him last week, dude. Yeah, sorry, guys. I just, and you guys know that if you ever, like, if I don't show up, I mean, there's content on the Odd Shopper. It costs $25 a month, but I work extremely hard to put that content out. And, you know, I'd like to make a lot more money doing this. And the only way that that's ever going to happen is if more of you sign up on the Odd Shopper. And, you know, I provide a ton of fucking content. I promise you guys. So, yeah, I mean, like, I did all the UFC content last week. I was just too tired to show up for free. We got Danielle Brooks saying, love the Xiao dog pick. I think it's a solid one this week. You know, I think he's going to do more. I'm worried about Su Young Yu efficiently winning minutes in 2 out of the 3 rounds with his grappling and with his just elusive footwork. But I think it's going to be a pretty close fight. I could see the Ortega fight getting canceled after the event starts. No, you're right about that, Caveman Yogi. I could see that happening too, dude. T.O. Phillips saying, what UFC wants that China money. Yeah, it does, man. China. You know, they want that China money, and there's a billion of them over there, and they're trying to set up some of these Chinese fighters with some wins. Let's see if they can make it happen. Walker's been finished 7 times, but Zhang has been finished 6 times. Yeah, man, they've been finished so many times, both of them, but most of Zhang's finishes came, like I said, he was 21, he was 20, he was 19, he was 18 years old. He's a different fighter now, and he's on a 12-fight win streak. Blaze in the room saying, oi, finally caught one of these shows live. Love from the UK. Truly appreciate you, Blaze. Thanks for hanging out here. We got T.O. Phillips saying, don't overthink it. Dana White is Shanghaiing poor Johnny Walker. I agree with you, man. We got Calm Under the Canopy saying, I fucking love it. What's up? CUTC. Thank you for hanging out. We got Tyreek Will in the room saying, oi, what is up, Tyreek? We got Insidious Gorilla saying, let's go, Unc. We got B-Neg saying, card starts at 3:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. How many of you watching live? So I will probably be up at 2:30. So I will probably be watching those first couple of fights, but eventually the eyelids are going to get heavy, and I'm going to probably pass out on the couch. So I don't know how much of it I'm going to catch live, but it's going to be a fun card. Anonymous Viper in the room saying, swing dicks in the pocket, laughing my ass off. What the fuck? That's what they're going to do, man. We got Caveman saying, wonder what the odds are if you do Pav round 1 in the parlay. It would definitely be much better, obviously. Pav, yeah, I mean, it would be a lot fatter for sure. Big Boy saying, what do you be smoking, Unc? Are you a Newport guy? No, I don't smoke with cigarettes anymore, man. When I did smoke with cigarettes, it was American Spirits. the light blue package, or Marlboro Reds. Those are, I am a guy that when I smoke a cigarette, I like to be transported to flavor country. And so you got to give me something that's a full flavor cigarette. That would be the American Spirits. That'd be a Marlboro Red, a couple of American classics. Beanhegg's saying, I think the Pereira fight goes to decision. Yeah, it could. It could. I mean, like, it's a weird one, right? I mean, I've got the under 1.5 rounds there. I could see early violence, but I could also see like Kyle Daukaus kind of, making this fight happen in a phone booth and it being kind of a clinch war as well. So, I mean, it's MMA. It's really hard to be sure about anything. Nas Dog in the room saying, Johnny Walker's got a Papadom chin. I mean, he really doesn't have very much durability left, unfortunately. We got Anonymous Viper saying, hey, Weezy, what happened with Hernandez? Going to comment on your Dolidze pick. Thought it was a great pick pre-flop. I thought he knew jiu-jitsu. I was wrong. I got him mixed up with a Georgian fighter who was really good at jiu-jitsu. So, yeah, that's my comment, man. We got Kalong CKRI saying, Aljo, Zhang, Michelle, is it safe? I think it's kind of safe. I don't think anything with Michelle Pereira in it, though, is very safe. And I don't think Zhang is all that good either, but I think that he's going to knock out Johnny Walker because Johnny Walker just doesn't have any durability left. Beanegg saying Waldo is going back to the Spain game plan. Look out. Yeah, he might. I mean, like, he might want to wrestle this dude. He's not a wrestler. That's the problem. I mean, I could take down Ronaldo Spain, so I don't think that's, I don't think we're going to see him wrestle much at this level. We got, what's up, T.O. Weezy, says my guy Fight Talk Only. Good to see you hanging out in here, my man. We got Vaughn saying, I got Where's Waldo too. Aylin Perez's butthole in the room saying, no way they let Ortega fight, right? I kind of feel like those guys didn't fly all the way over to Shanghai, China, not to fight. Ortega gets paid a ton of money to show up, and Aljo gets paid a ton of money to show up. So I feel like they're going to make that fight happen because both those guys want their money. PFL had Sway Lee perform. Who the hell is Sway Lee? Hang on a second. I'm looking that up. See, you guys are making me. I know how to use Google, so you can't just like make names up on me and say that Sway Lee. That's a real person? What? Who's this candy ass? Oh God. Look at that fucking haircut. Jesus Christ. Really? So, PFL, what are you doing? Is that a transgender? I don't know, man. That's wild. That's wild. I don't even know what to think sometimes. Like, what are these guys doing? Why is that a good idea? I've never heard Sway Lee's music. I thought you were bullshitting me. I thought you were making up. So I don't know. I mean, we got Terrion Ware in the room, former UFC fighter, fought Sean O'Malley. Appreciate Terrion Ware saying shout out Uncle Weezy. Hope all is well, my man. We got Kalong in the room saying, you look like a bass guitarist. Can you play guitar? You look like a band member from Korn. No, I don't play bass, man. I can play I Want to Be Your Dog by the Stooges on the bass. I can play I Want to Be Your Dog. That's the only song, though, that I know how to play on the bass. So, yeah, I just look like a bass player. It's the hair, right? It's the hair. Like, I could, if I were to walk on stage at a metal concert, with a bass that was like not plugged into anything, I could probably look like I was actually in the band playing just from the hair, but yeah, I don't play any instruments, man, other than the turntables that are sitting behind me. We got Tyreek saying, bro, oh my God, 2 cents of I can't. This is why I don't watch fucking PFL. I mean, like, I just don't get it, man. Romanov fight tonight was awful. I believe it. It's PFL. It's almost always awful. That Sterling line is getting jacked. Makes perfect sense. Tyreek saying, "Oh, what is up, Tyreek?" Aaron saying, Who you like, Borjas versus Sue and Charles versus Lonnie? So I'm picking Lonnie to win, but the bet is on Charles Johnson at plus 175. And then Borjas Sue, I'm going with Sumudaerji by decision. We got Borjas, let's go, says Fight Talk Only. I know my guy's Peruvian, so he's going to be on the Borjas side. We got Live Dog saying haters can hate, baiters can bait, but Xiao, Zhang, Borjas, and Pereira is getting me paid. There we go, my man. We got pen and paper in hand for Von Z. Let's go, man. We got Calm Under the Canopy saying Weston Wilson by sub LML. We got LMAO. I was thinking Weston. There we go. We got, that's a good looking dog there. Damn, T. It's a good looking dog you got in that picture. Anonymous Viper said, you bet on Drickus and you bet on Dolidze. Anonymous Viper, let me show you something. Douchebag. You can find all my fucking bets. You know why? Because I track them, jerk off. They're all tracked. You can find all of them that I've ever made. All the win streaks, all the lose streaks, all the winning bets, losing bets. That's what cappers do. We go out there and we pick fights. I bet on Drickus. I bet on Dolidze. I also bet on Michael Johnson to beat fucking Daniel Zellhuber by decision. I also bet on Shauna Bannon to beat Puja Tumar by submission at plus 1,600. Cash that. Fucking hit a 2,500 Brady he stand round 3. 2 take this job and shove it parlays this year, hitting at 55-1 and 38-1. Yes, sir. I bet on those guys. And I'm still better than you at picking fights, douchebag. So go fuck yourself. We got Groove in the room saying Zhang lost to that fake fighter in devastating fashion. He was very young, though, Groove. Very, very young. We got JR Smooth saying any road to UFC picks. I do not have any road to UFC picks. I like Tumen Dembero. I think he's a good fighter, and I saw that Ming Shi's fighting Bruno Brazil. I think Bruno Brazil should win that fight, but Ming Shi's tricky sometimes. Like those head kicks that she has, she's landed them before, not just on Feng Zhaocan. So I don't really have any picks in terms of bets for those fights, but I think that they're going to be really fun to watch. But if I don't research them, I don't bet on them. Live Dog saying I had DDP as my live dog when choosing over Murphy. Then Hooper is my lock over Pratas. Epic fail. Hey, man, there's been some tough results this week, I had Laron Murphy last week. I didn't bet on him, though, like a dumbass. Vaughn saying DDP ruined my 6-leg parlay. We all in it together. Hey, man, I didn't know he couldn't wrestle at all. It was a brutal, brutal, brutal bet. Kavanagh has a better chance of finishing Charles Johnson haircut than the man himself. I totally agree with that. And, yeah, Charles Johnson, say what you will about the skullet, man. The guy is a massive flyweight, and he always makes weight. He always shows up in good condition. He never gets finished. The guy's in a ton of close fights against really good fighters. So, yeah, Charles Johnson is the real deal. Tater McSpadden, what a fucking name. Yeah, that's it. You can't take that away from Gage Young. That Tater McSpadden win is always going to be on his record. Gage Young Taptology deep dive was perfect. Thank you, Weezy. You got it, Brandon. That's what I do, man. I try to research these fights as thoroughly as possible. I trust in you, Uncle Weezy, but I think Waldo almost MVPs Sergey. Wow. Distance kicks, lots of lateral circling, and essentially point fighting for the decision. Pavlovich is so flat-footed. Yeah, that's interesting. He barely beat fucking Arlovsky. Sergey Spivak was walking him down. I don't know. I would be surprised if Waldo was that athletic, but I see what you're saying about Sergey. There's no question that Sergey is a plotter. But, boy, if he hits you, the guy is a human battering ram. We got Paku MMA in the room. What is up, Paku? 5 p.m. Saturday for the Aussies. Good for you. You deserve a regularly timed card, man. It's about time for the Americans to get up in the middle of the morning. I know you guys all feel that way, and I love it when this actually does happen to us because I get to hear from the New Zealanders, the Australians, the people in Asia. Like, finally, we get a card where Americans are waking up at 3 a.m. to watch it, and it totally makes sense, man. I'll be lighting a stogie and pouring a whiskey for the first prelim. There you go, my man. I will I'll be probably lighting up my last chronic bowl of the night and being like, I hope I can stay awake for 2 fights. Let's see if Rongzhu wins the second one. We got Vaughn in the room saying, you the man, Weezy, just started watching you a few weeks ago, started sports betting, going to stick with it for a bit, see how it goes. Good luck to you, Vaughn. I hope you start off hot and build up a little bit of a bankroll so that you can play with the house's money for a while. It's always the best way to do it. Sway Lee has to be one of those zesty parties. Sway Lee looks like Rick James gay gray. He does, right? Kind of looks, I don't know, man. Sway Lee. The King Raheem saying, trust me, Weezy. I totally trust you, Raheem, that I'll go put on some Tribe Called Quest after this. I don't need to know what the fuck is going on with Sway Lee. We got Don't Diss Sway Lee. My boy's got an angelic vocals. LOL for real, though. We got Tiziano saying, good night, Unc. Good to see you in here, Tiziano. I also bet on Drickus and Dolidze up. We got Haymaker in the room saying, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Been watching you for a fucking long time. Love the content. Keep it up. Thank you, Haymaker. Appreciate you hanging out. You bet Bannon, you sick fuck. I did. I bet Bannon by submission. I think it was plus 1,800. Because Puget Tomar had been submitted, or I think submitted in 3 of her 4 losses. She got a brutal, ground game, and it wasn't how I planned it for her to get dropped by Puget Tomar and then finish with the armbar. But yeah, man, I've made a lot of money doing this, so yeah, I don't mind. Every once in a while, I'm gonna make a really bad bet. This is called MMA. That's how it works. Just kidding. Sick fucking bet. Yeah, man, I got you. Ming the Doctor is gonna submit fighting her girl. What's her name? It's Bruno Brazil versus Ming Shi. So that'll be an interesting fight. Unc, who do you have winning in the Fluffy versus RDR fight that was announced? Man, oh man. I don't know. That is such a good fucking fight. I mean, like Ranier de Ritter's wrestling is really going to get tested, and he's got brilliant Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but I mean, so did Roman Dolidze. And I mean, I still haven't seen that fight, but I was at a Black Moth Super Rainbow concert while that one was happening, and I'm glad I didn't see it because I would have been crying watching my favorite fighter Fluffy just whoop up on the guy that I put a unit on. So yeah, that was not good. I think Fluffy, because of just how positionally sound he is from top. But I mean, I don't know. That's such a great fucking fight. We got Haymaker saying Charles Johnson is a professional. The skullet makes it even better. Yes. Uncle Weezy, you're the man, brother. Appreciate you, dude. That was earlier in his career, not that early, but before he learned to fight. Yeah. Sergey is so much better than Waldo. I agree, dude. I agree. And hard to fade Fluffy after dismantling Roman like that. I know, man. I know. And I have to go back and watch that fight, but it is really hard to do that. But appreciate you guys. Still 93 you guys hanging out live. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. And check out, leave me a comment and check out that probability stats and content package for $25 a month. I promise you it's going to be access to more information that you've ever had in your life. Best way to support my work and make sure that I keep showing up here for free every week. Because last week I got more signups than I've gotten in a long time than when I actually come here to like beg for signups. So sometimes I feel like, I should do less content here for free because it would get more people to sign up. But please do think about it. Think about signing up and join me on this journey of trying to stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC fights every Saturday. So let's have some fun watching these fights in the middle of the night for UFC China. Zhang versus Walker should be a really fun card. And I will see you guys in a couple of weeks when we come back for whatever the card is next. I think it's the Paris card 2 weeks from now. So have a great rest of your week. And we will talk to you guys in a couple weeks for the UFC Paris card. Have a great rest of your night. We'll talk to you guys later.